Hello everyone, welcome to Creative Edge. I Sumit Joshi welcome you all on the behalf of entire Creative Edge team and here we are with third attempt of नाटा और उसी के एनालिसिस को लेकर हम बात करने वाले हैं. So initially we will be talking about the aptitude and mathematics section. Not only aptitude and mathematics. Along with this, we will also be talking about the general science and the English part, right? So this discussion will be based on both the shifts, that is morning as well as a evening shift, or you can say afternoon shift, right? Hello, Archie. So I hope those who have, all of you who have taken this attempt, paper must have went quite good uh, because I have this opinion, these opinion from our students that the paper was relatively difficult as if we compare it with the second attempt, but it was still doable. So moderate kind of paper raha hai, and I don't have exact number of questions of topics, but the topics that have been covered उनको लेकर हम बात कर रहे होंगे, right? Hello, Lokesh. I hope you guys have done well in your paper yesterday. So let's start our discussion. So the very first thing first, पहले हम बात कर रहे होंगे aptitude part की. When I'm saying aptitude में I'll be talking about quantitative aptitude, logical reasoning as well, right? So as expected, there were certain questions on time, speed and distance, time and work, mensuration पर questions रहे हैं. And mensuration second attempt देखने के बाद it was quite evident, right? So Savita, you are saying जहाँ मेरा सेंटर था वहाँ बढ़ आए थे 9 डेट को ही मतलब I know कि test has been conducted yesterday. Today we are just doing this analysis of the both shifts. Both the shifts को लेकर हम बात कर रहे हैं, right? So time, speed and distance, time and work, mensuration, logs, character puzzle, ratio proportion, percentage, blood relation, direction sense. Almost all these topics are quite expected कि इन topics पर questions होंगे. And as usual, questions were there. Frequency of questions, mensuration, second attempt पे थोड़ा ज़्यादा था. इस बार ही frequency of number of questions relatively less on mensuration, but still there were questions. Still there were questions on mensuration, not only in the context of aptitude part, but also in the context of mathematics. Hello, Prashant. I hope you have done your paper well. Right. So टाइम स्पीड एंड डिस्टेंस पर जो क्वेश्चन थे एंड टाइम एंड वर्क पे जो क्वेश्चन थे इट वर दे वर रिलेटिवली ऑन इजियर साइड, इजीली डुएबल. सिलॉक्स का क्वेश्चन भी इजी था, ऐसा स्टूडेंट्स का फीडबैक है मॉर्निंग शिफ्ट के लिए. एंड सर रेशियो प्रोपोर्शन के एप्लीकेशन बेस्ड क्वेश्चन थे. परसेंटेज का एक डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन था इन केस ऑफ आफ्टरनून शिफ्ट. एंड ऑल्सो ब्लड रिलेशन के क्वेश्चंस ज्यादा नहीं पूछे गए, बट इट वाज अ क्वाइट इनडायरेक्ट काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चन जहां पर आपको डायरेक्ट कैरेक्टर्स के नेम दे करके नहीं पूछा है. सर्कल टेंजेंट पूछा था. ओके मुस्तफा, उसके लिए हम मैथमेटिक्स पर बात कर रहे होंगे. ज्योमेट्री से क्वेश्चंस थे बिल्कुल. लोकेश, आई होप कि आपके शिफ्ट में नहीं था, बट देर वर स्टिल क्वेश्चंस, राइट? जैसा कि मैंने मिक्स ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स जो ओपिनियन आया है वो मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ. इट इज नॉट फ्रॉम वन स्टूडेंट और वन शिफ्ट ओनली, राइट? डायरेक्शन सेंस पर भी क्वेश्चन रहा है, बट नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चंस वन और टू ऑड क्वेश्चंस है. यश, दैट वी कैन नॉट हैव क्वेश्चंस बिकॉज अभी वो मेमोरी बेस्ड बात है. आपको जब आंसर की चेक करने को मिलता है देन ओनली यू कैन टॉक अबाउट द क्वेश्चंस, राइट? As of now, we are just discussing the first hand experience of the students. जो students के opinion हमारे पास है हम उस पर बात कर रहे हैं आज. जब आपको की इन आंसर की अवेलेबल हो जाता है क्वेश्चंस चेक करने के लिए, देन ओनली वी कैन टॉक अबाउट द क्वेश्चंस कि इन क्वेश्चंस को कैसे जल्दी कर सकते थे, उनका एनालिसिस स्पेसिफिक, वो तब हम डिस्कस कर पाएंगे प्रोबेबली आफ्टर 3 डेज। जनरली अगर हम पिछले 2 अटेम्प्ट के बेसिस पर बात करें लोकेश, यश, तो ये रहा है कि जनरली 3 डेज आफ्टर द एग्जाम आंसर की आउट हो जाता है, देन वी कैन टॉक अबाउट द पेपर और क्वेश्चंस क्या थे इसके बारे में बात कर सकते हैं। राइट, सो एप्टीट्यूड सेक्शन से कोई अनएक्सपेक्टेड क्वेश्चंस नहीं है, बट एनएटी न्यूमेरिकल आंसर टाइप क्वेश्चंस जो है ये थोड़े से ट्रिकी थे इस बारी एज कंपेयर टू द सेकंड अटेम्प्ट एज सजेस्टेड। राइट, सो न्यूमेरिकल आंसर टाइप क्वेश्चंस में थोड़ा चैलेंज स्टूडेंट्स ने फेस किया है। अदर देन दिस, फिजिक्स से जो क्वेश्चंस पूछे गए हैं उसके लिए हम जनरल साइंस पर बात कर रहे होंगे। राइट, सो लेट्स मूव टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। लेट्स मूव टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। जनरल साइंस फिजिक्स में जो क्वेश्चंस है वो पावर बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस रहा है, साउंड बेस्ड क्वेश्चन रहे हैं, दैट इज फ्रीक्वेंसी के फॉर्मूले को यूटिलाइज करके आपको साउंड बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस को आंसर करना था कि साउंड का फ्रीक्वेंसी इज गिवन एंड उसके बेसिस पर कैलकुलेशन था। सो बेसिक क्वेश्चंस थे। अदर देन दिस, एलिमेंट्स के प्रॉपर्टीज, एलिमेंटल प्रॉपर्टीज, एरिया, वॉल्यूम, ठीक है अभिनव। हाँ लोकेश, यही स्टूडेंट्स का भी इनपुट था कि न्यूमेरिकल आंसर टाइप क्वेश्चंस थोड़े ट्रिकी थे, टफ थे। स्मॉल साइज, एरिया, वॉल्यूम, Abhinav, still your question is not quite clear. What is the odd one from this small size and area volume? Okay, so relatively students का भी ओपिनियन मिक्स ओपिनियन रहा है। जनरल साइंस में फिजिक्स के क्वेश्चंस थे, एलिमेंट्स के प्रॉपर्टीज पर कुछ क्वेश्चंस थे, प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ एलिमेंट्स, बट बहुत फ्रीक्वेंसी हाई नहीं था इन क्वेश्चंस का, वन और टू ऑड क्वेश्चंस इन बोथ द शिफ्ट्स। देन इंग्लिश की बात करें तो इंग्लिश का पैटर्न जो चला आ रहा है, देयर वर 5 पैसेजेस, ईच पैसेज 4 क्वेश्चंस, ग्रामर बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस, सिनोनिम एंटोनिम, बिल्कुल वही कन्वेंशनल पैटर्न है। मैथ्स की अगर हम बात करें तो ज्योमेट्री बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस का वेटेज ज्यादा था, जैसा कि हमसे लोकेश ने भी कहा कि सर इस बार सर्कल और टेंजेंट पर क्वेश्चन था। इनफैक्ट मेंसुरेशन जो है उसके क्वेश्चंस भी थे। एलजेब्रा के क्वेश्चंस रहे हैं, लीनियर इक्वेशन इन वन वेरिएबल, लीनियर इक्वेशन इन टू वेरिएबल काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस, इन पर भी क्वेश्चंस रहे हैं गाइस। एंड इट इज क्वाइट एविडेंट, अगर हम बात करें रेगुलरली जिन स्टूडेंट्स ने क्लासरूम प्रिपरेशन किया है हमारे साथ, आई होप उन सभी लोगों का पेपर अच्छा गया है। इनफैक्ट दोज हु हैव फॉलोड अस ऑन यूट्यूब, जिन्होंने हमारे यूट्यूब पर वीडियोस देखे हैं, उन स्टूडेंट्स के भी ओपिनियन आए हैं दैट the discussion that had happened in those videos, YouTube videos पर जो डिस्कशन हुए थे, उनसे भी बहुत ज्यादा हेल्प मिला है। सो दिस इज व्हाट इज सजेस्टेड एंड दिस इज व्हाट इज द फर्स्ट हैंड एक्सपीरियंस for the section of aptitude and mathematics. So Rajan sir will be continuing this video after a break of say 5 minutes. So I'll be seeing you in our next video, guys. I hope all of you have done well in this attempt because this was the last attempt we had for NATA 2023, and I hope कि आप लोगों को अच्छा स्कोर मिले so that you guys land up in a good college. Right, guys? So I'll be seeing you in our next video. Rajan sir will be continuing in this video only. So please do not go anywhere. After a break of 5 minutes, Rajan sir will be taking the slide. Bye bye from my side.
Hello, friends. Good afternoon. I am back with NATA Attempt 3 analysis. The part I am going to cover is mostly practice as a drawing part, design part. And friends, this time, the third attempt that happened yesterday, the drawing part, I'm very happy to say, mostly had appeared from the portion that I have had covered as a preparation of this examination. Let us look into what has actually appeared in the two portion where the exam was conducted. One, the session was in the morning, other was in the afternoon. Friends, my name is Rajendra Bhatia. You all know that. And I have been into this teaching for a long time. However, NATA has changed in last few years. And this time also, there were a couple of questions which were inducted very frankly as the ones which did not come in previous year. So let us look into what type of questions. And I must also very much clarify one part that the exact question, exact picture has not been stolen. Like I'm not going to give you the exact picture of what was asked. So we will have a discussion as to what type of question was there and how it should have been solved. In shift one, that is in the morning, this is one of favorite part that I also induced in my uh, attempt first, second, and third of this year's NATA. Earlier, we were not taking Gestalt principle as far as creative edge top ranker were concerned. However, we have been talking about Gestalt principles, and there were options given, and you were supposed to select the most appropriate one. You all know proximity, figure and ground, continuity, that kind of Gestalt principles are asked, and generally the Gestalt principles are implemented in the logo design, symbol design, or similar things. You cannot say that it is only implemented in the logo and monograms. It is also implemented in routine pictures. So it depends. So you had to solve it accordingly. Then color theory. Yes, all 3 years I've been talking about color theory is an important part. And there were three questions. One was related to the analogous color scheme. Image was given and you were supposed to recognize the image. Triadic, I think the spelling is slightly wrong. It is triadic color. That is three color scheme. And then that those three colors are exactly the equilateral triangle on a color wheel, and wherever are the vertices, those vertices were involving the triadic. I mean, those color wherever the vertices are falling on a um, color wheel, provided you select the vertices of an equilateral triangle imposed on the color wheel. So wherever are the vertices falling, that means the corners of the equilateral triangle falling, those are the three colors. Now, anywhere, select any color and you try to find out its triangle on the color wheel. If those three colors are matching, you have to announce it as triadic color. Now, which of the color scheme uses high contrast or which color impact? Remember one thing, high contrast, it cannot come in generalized. It is opposite to the analogous color. Analogous color are two secondary color, one primary color with the primary and the tint shades and tones with the primary color present in all of them. So they are analogous. They are present in each other. The primary color particularly is present in all the three colors. Whereas high contrast is generally the opposite color. So complementary color, and if you are given three colors, then split complementary colors are high contrast color. Okay. So remember, complementary color are opposite color on the color wheel, and they are the high contrast. Okay. And the split complementary colors are the side by color of the complementary color along with the color in question. That means side by color of the complementary color of the given color. So these three colors, when used in a scheme, in a combination, then that is called as high contrast color impact. Identify the artist of the given painting. Incidentally, that this was B.V. Joshi's artwork, so you could have recognized it very easily in case you have had a go through all these pictures. Students were presented with an image and prompted to identify the specific art form represented in the image. For example, if you have studied Madhubani painting, Varli painting, for Kalamkari, etc., etc., so you could identify the art form that was given there. We are coming to, somebody has asked about Abhinav Naidu, asked about the odd one out. So I'm going to come in the next one. So students were provided with a distorted image and asked to determine its origin or identify the specific area to which that belongs to. So if you have studied all the images, as I've been talking to the students, please go with the images, even the blueprints. Try to study them and try to find out the very basics of all the art form that you are um, you are taught or you are supposed to study, right? So it was easy for people who have seen all the artwork, and then the origin was supposed to be identified. Identify the perspective, image based. Now, if you have gone through what is 1 point perspective, 2 point perspective, 3 point perspective, both in Nadir as well as in Zenith, and if you have had multiple point perspective and 5 point perspective, never ever talk of 4 point perspective. There is nothing like 4 point perspective. So 1, 2, 3 point perspective and multiple point perspective and 5 point perspective. This is how there are five, although I have taken one of my sketches to just to explain what are, because the answer was 5 point perspective. This is one of the example of the 5 point perspective that I have taught in my class, wherein everything is an outer surface of this ball or the inner surface of this ball, right? So this picture, what I have drawn here is the inner surface of the ball. In the sense you are inside a fish pond and your eye being that of the fish, you will see everything in 5 point perspective. 5 points are, as you can see, one, the other one is in Nadir, one in the middle, one in the right, and one in the left. So these 5 points together form an image of either a convex or a concave lens. A convex lens is the outer of this ball, and concave is the inner of the ball. So either of the two would be 5 point perspective. Find out the odd one out. Size, shape, volume, small. Now, my emphasis, all are discussing size, volume, and again, small is relative size only, whereas shape is an element of the design. So, shape should be the answer for this. Any which ways, we will also wait for the answer keys to arrive. AIT के क्वेश्चन है आर्किटेक्चर अवेयरनेस के, आर्किटेक्चर अवेयरनेस में टाइप्स ऑफ स्टोन के क्वेश्चन था, टाइप ऑफ ब्रिक के क्वेश्चन थे, बिल्डिंग मटेरियल्स के क्वेश्चन थे, टाइप ऑफ रूफ के क्वेश्चन थे। तो लास्ट टाइम वॉल्ट पूछा था, ग्रोइन वॉल्ट का क्वेश्चन था अटेम्प्ट 2 में, अटेम्प्ट 3 में भी टाइप्स ऑफ रूफ के क्वेश्चन है। Vault are the roof of arches, whereas um, the gable, etc., are the types of roof, different kinds of gable. So that is what was asked in your this thing. If you have had gone through these, so if you have gone through these portion of architecture awareness, which we covered, as you know, my student will say, "Sir, बहुत कुछ आपने जो पढ़ाया उसी में से आया." Yes, fact है. Hardly anything coming from out of the syllabus that I have covered. Hardly anyone. Second 45-second question, there were two of this kind. Students were presented with 7, 8 black and white images showcasing monuments such as Red Fort, Qutub Minar, etc., and were asked to identify the region in India to which it belongs to. So if you have gone through the architects and architectural structure, those chapter, this would have been very easy. Like Qutub Minar is in Delhi, and and the Agra Fort is in Agra Fort, otherwise, and is in Agra. Um, these kind of options were given, and you were to recognize them. Second of the 45-second question was now, and of course, I would like to add over here. If you have had made when they show you 45-second image, I mean image for the 45 seconds, if you have had made the notes of it, it was easy for you to answer them. If you haven't had made the notes of it, it was difficult for you to answer them because you hardly recollect what was shown. And then comes the options. Students were also presented in the other question with a captivating collage featuring various animals and were challenged to determine the total number of animals depicted in the collage. Again, the same way, if you have made the notes of it in all 45 seconds, the answer would have been easy for you. Now we try to discuss what was asked in shift 2. I have got some feedback given by my students, according to which I have prepared this PPT to discuss the things. I'm sure this will kind of ease out a lot of you. Maybe some of you start palpitating high here onward till you receive the the answer keys. Students were given a logo and asked with identifying the brand associated with. So at one shift, they are asking Gestalt principle, which we mostly see in logos, and in the other one, that is second shift, they are asking directly the logos. But friends, if you have seen or if you are my student, you must have attended the session. And I remember this was taken up by one of my junior colleague, and she showed almost all the important logos to you. And these were the logos asked in this examination: Snapchat, architecture company logo, and Pepsi logo. So we covered all this thing. So I'm finding it like the third attempt was fairly easy. Since I feel my students must have studied all what I have covered and revised all of it. Students were provided with an image and presented with a set of 4 options. So this was a question based on the visual perception. And of course, your study with the task of selecting 4 options that are most appropriate or relevant to the image. I think again there is a typographical mistake by me, and that is You were given 8 options and 4 options were correct. So any which ways you could have understood from the presentation right now that the question was, here these questions are mostly to be answered with, that um, you have to do a selection by rejection. So most inappropriate ones are to be removed, and then the appropriate ones are to be brought into it. Again, in the second shift also, 2 questions based on color theory. Students were given an image depicting a village location and were instructed to identify the color scheme employed in the image. So easy, once you know what is uh, hot color scheme, cool color scheme, analogous color scheme, split color, and split complementary color, monochromatic, and tridic color. Yeah, and of course, if there was anything like tetradic or anything mm, like just a complementary, so that anyone would have been the color scheme. Since I haven't faced this examination myself, I don't remember exactly. I don't know exactly what was the picture of the village location. But I'm sure most of you must have given the answer according to the color scheme that you have recognized. The students were presented with 4 images and were asked to identify the image that does not imply a tertiary color. There are 2 ways you will recognize tertiary color. One is the tertiary color of additive color scheme. The other is the tertiary color of subtractive color scheme. So you have to even identify either of the 2 kinds, additive and subtractive color scheme. And yes, tertiary color are the medial color between proper primary, and a proper secondary, and the color falling in between. And that is as per the additive color scheme. As per the subtractive color scheme, all the browns, all the neutral colors are tertiary color. So any one which way, um, if the tertiary color you are recognizing, there might be some other color scheme than tertiary color that was present. That is the image that you were supposed to identify. There were 2 questions again in the second shift. Based on the perspective, students were given a cube and a table and were asked to determine the direction of their perspective shadow, of their respective shadow. So this question was more based on the source of the light and the aesthetics that the light source would form. So I'm sure you have done a reasonable justice to your this kind of a question if you have already studied the physiography of all this. Again, there were questions based on Gestalt principle, the type of principle implemented. That means the proximity, the figure ground, and the multi-stability kind of principle, and then the type of illusion. That means the terminology that I have covered with you all. 45-second question in this shift was students were provided with options such as rectangle and square and were asked to identify the shape of the entrance of the door. In the given image, the second question, students were asked to determine the color of the building. So it should be the pattern of the color, right? So again, if you have made the notes, type of color in the image, then the question arises, you are at an easy position to answer them. Second shift, students were shown an image of building and were asked to identify the material used in its construction. So if you have gone through your chapter of AAT, I'm sure you would have recognized the material. Again, in the second shift, there were types of bricks asked. So easy going with that as well, I'm sure. Thank you very much for friends for being with me and going through this analysis of the third attempt of NATA. Any specific question, any inquiry in this regard, you can write down to me either on this presentation only, or you can directly log into our YouTube channel of Creative Edge by Top Rankers. I don't find any further. I don't think there is any further question in the chat box. So, friends, I thank you very much for attending this and stay connected with us. We will discuss a lot about your results and always remember I am one of few who can guide you for the yes, you guessed it rightly, the process of admission into an architecture college based on your result of 12th and your result of NATA. So look forward for the announcement that I shall be um, doing on the same channel and be with you when there are results. We will discuss how you can take admission to the best possible college with the result that you have obtained. All the best to all of you and go a very happy going in the coming days. Bye bye.